Oh, I'm gonna go home and finally marry my sweetheart, Betty Sue.
Yo, cuz, I'm gonna go back home, take over that family business, no?
I'm gonna go into the shrimping business.
How about you? What are you gonna do when you get back home?
Well, fellas, I'm gonna go home and marry the cutest girl in Arkansas, my June May. She's as beautiful as her mother, who's also my mother. She's my sister.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What?
So now America's in the war. Unlike World War I with the Selective Service Act where we needed to draft or conscript all these men to fight this war, in World War II the men are volunteering in droves. And the country supports this war because this war is against evil they see in Adolf Hitler. And so not only are the men going to do stuff, the women are going to do stuff. For the first time, women are going to serve in the U.S. military in something known as the Women's Army Corps, or WACS, W-A-C-S. And that's not all. They're going to help at home too. While all the men are off fighting, what really wins us the war is our greatest weapon, and our greatest weapon is the American economy. We are going to outproduce the Germans. See, the Germans have really good tanks. For every one tank they have, it takes 4 of ours to beat it. But because of the American woman working in the factories, like Rosie the Riveter right there, for every 1 tank they make, we make 12. That is the power of the American economy, and that is the power of the American woman. And the American woman is going to be the backbone of the war effort. Not only that, they're going to ration at home, and ration means they're going to do with less. And they're going to go without stuff that I think is necessary, like coffee. If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a nasty dude. I'm a bad hombre, as President Trump likes to say. You don't want to talk to me. They do without stuff like gasoline. They ride bikes everywhere. They grow their own foods in victory gardens so more food can be sent to the troops. This is 100% buy-in of America in this war. But it's not all this pretty patriotic picture. We also do something kind of crazy. FDR is afraid of Japanese spies, so he passes an executive order called Executive Order 9066. And this puts Japanese Americans, these are American citizens, guaranteed their full rights by the Constitution of the United States, into internment camps. One of them is named Fred Korematsu, and he says, wait a minute. This is completely violating my 14th Amendment rights. And it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court says this. Yeah, it is violating your 14th Amendment rights, but we're in a war right now. So you're going to have to deal in one of the most controversial Supreme Court rulings of all time. That's Korematsu versus the United States. But the Japanese Americans fought for America. Everybody fought for America. You had African Americans joining like the Tuskegee Airmen. You had Native Americans join like the Navajo Code Talkers, and the Japanese couldn't break their code due to their very specific language. And you also had this thing where these minorities are fighting over in Europe. And they're in a segregated army. And they're fighting over in Europe, but they're seeing how people of African descent get treated in Europe, and they get treated way better. And they're like, wait a minute, I'm fighting for my country over here. And then they come back after the war to the same old crap. And you're going to see why the civil rights movement is really, really going to pick up in the 1950s. With especially a lot of these veterans of this war and the next war in Korea are going to be like, wait a minute, this isn't what I fought for. And so World War II is really the last war where everyone's like, yeah, we're going to do this.
Hey, Rosie.
Not today, Nazi.
I'm not even nervous.
We can do it.
Let's talk about Vernon Baker. Vernon Baker's going to get the Congressional Medal of Honor, but it's not going to be till the late 1990s because he's African American. But his war service was spectacular. He charged 3 machine gun nests by himself to save his buddies. That is staring death in the face 3 times. That is beyond the Call of Duty. No video game reference intended. And so Roosevelt felt that the war in Europe had to take precedence first because he felt that Nazi Germany was more dangerous than the Empire of Japan. And so we're going to focus. We're going to fight a war in North Africa against Germany's best general, Erwin Rommel, or the Desert Fox. And he had been whooping the British all up and down. America sends our biggest, baddest dude. His name is George Patton. And he is a bad... Oh, sorry, the feed must have cut out there. George Patton's a bad dude. And he's going to lead the American Army, the Third Army, I believe, through North Africa, and they're going to take back North Africa from the Italians and the Germans. And then we're going to go up through Italy. But when you get to Italy, here on the map, you see Italy has these mountains here, the Alps, so we can't go over the Alps to get to Germany. So we're going to have to do something else. And this is where Dwight D. Eisenhower comes in. That guy. Dwight D. Eisenhower is going to organize an operation called Overlord. An Overlord is going to be an aquatic invasion across the English Channel to a place called Normandy in France, right here-ish. And in Normandy in France, you have what we know as D-Day, or June 6, 1944. We all watched Saving Private Ryan this year. You know what that battle was like. This was a turning point in the war. From this point, Germany is not going to have any more victories. Even when they throw their hardest punch at us at a battle called the Battle of the Bulge, they're not going to be able to fight back, and it's only a matter of time because you have Patton, you have Eisenhower, you have Omar Bradley. Omar Bradley is going to lead the big part of the army, and he is the opposite of Patton. When Patton is a bat... Oh, sorry, the feed cut out again. Omar Bradley's really calm and collected. And so you have all these different leaders, but they're all great. This is one of the greatest crops of generals America has ever had. And they lead the American soldier. By the way, the American soldier is still the best in the world through this. While we're coming from the west through France here, the Soviets are coming from the east this way. And we're going to meet in Berlin, and Adolf is going to off himself, unless you believe the conspiracy theories, and he fled to Argentina and he rode a bicycle for the rest of his life. Not true, he shot himself in the head. After he made his recently married wife, Eva Braun, and the dog, Blondie, take suicide pills. Sweet dude, that Hitler. Joke intended. Dude was terrible. And while we're going across Europe, we find Hitler's dirty little secret. Now, people in the upper levels of American command had an idea this was going on, but the average American fighting man didn't. And what they found was the concentration camps, the product of the Holocaust, the product of the final solution. One of the, if not the greatest atrocities ever put upon mankind. And so this is why World War II is that last war where everyone's in, because we were fighting evil. The wars of the next 20 to 30 years are going to be about ideology. It's going to be about communism versus democracy. This was about good versus evil.